So, guys, I want to talk about AJ Styles. And what happened was that earlier this week, it was revealed that he was not going into the TNA Hall of Fame. And there were some talks about putting Monty Brown in it, but he was not reached. So they went with Rhino. And then there was also conversation about people just speculating that what happened was that WWE said, no, we're not putting AJ Styles. We're not going to let that happen, really. And then AJ Styles responds with, no, I chose to not go in the TNA Hall of Fame or any other Hall of Fame while I'm an active wrestler. I want to wait until I retire. And he also said something, if I remember correctly, like, I wish TNA all the best. So there's a bunch of things that I want to say about it. That, first of all, fuck Sting, fuck Dixie Carter, fuck Hulk Hogan, and fuck Eric Bischoff. Fuck Dixie Carter, fuck Sting, fuck Hulk Hogan, fuck Eric Bischoff for not putting AJ Styles in the Hall of Fame first, because that should have happened. And that was beyond disrespectful to him. And I do understand that there's a couple of things that honestly, when Dixie Carter wanted to put um, Sting in first, I think their big thing was that they want a Hall of Famer, somebody that people can recognize. But AJ Styles is the most recognizable person in the most recognizable person in all of TNA wrestling, really. So that was, definitely a very, very bad call. It just was not a good call, really. It would just be like, if like Andre the Giant was the first person in the WWE Hall of Fame. So what if they said something like, no, we can't put Andre the Giant in because most people don't know his work in the 70s. People just know him for the match he had with Hulk Hogan and we need and some other appearances. So we're actually going to put Luke Fez in the WWE Hall of Fame. We're actually going to put Ric Flair first. Woo! Or we're going to put Bruno Sammartino in first. Most people, or we're going to put the we're gonna put the Nature Boy Buddy Rogers in, or somebody like that. Really, somebody that maybe more people would know. Or we're gonna put Vince McMahon Senior in as the first one. We're gonna put somebody else in. Imagine if in the WCW Hall of Fame, the first member, I don't know, was Hulk Hogan, and they showed clips of Hulk Hogan in WWE. In WWF, during the Hulkamania era when, I think the first one was actually Sting. What would happen if you had ECW and you said something like, okay, Rob Van Dam's most synonymous wrestler in ECW, but we're actually going to put Christian Cage in there because he was the last, he was like the last rememberable ECW champion. Yes, it was Ezekiel Jackson, but the last person with a long legitimate reign was Christian Cage. So you wouldn't put Christian Cage in the ECW Hall of Fame over Rob Van Dam. You would not put the Nature Boy Buddy Rogers or Ric Flair in the WWF Hall of Fame over Andre the Giant first. When you think of New Japan Pro Wrestling, I think the first person in their Hall of Fame, if they have not already had one, should be Antonio Inoki. You're not going to do something like, say, we're going to put Tony Khan in first because he kind of is connecting both Japanese wrestling and American wrestling. Or we're going to put Dave Meltzer in first because, he's definitely brought a lot of attention to Japanese wrestling by his reviews and talking about it. So, you're not going to do that. It would not make sense to do that. For the AEW Hall of Fame, if they ever do that, I think the first person should be Maxwell Jacob Freeman. It should not be Sting. It should not be It should not be Brody King. No, Brody Lee. It should not be Jim Ross if he dies. It should not be Tony Schiavone if he dies. It should not be Jay Briscoe. It should be MJF. You have to think about the right first person. So, fuck TNA wrestling for not putting AJ Styles in the Hall of Fame. Fuck them for not putting him in first. And if AJ Styles declined it, fuck AJ Styles for that. He should have been the first one. That's a deep to his face, and it hurts me to this day that happened, really. So, now to get back to it. So, I'm okay with AJ Styles at this point not going to the TNA Hall of Fame because it does not make sense for him to go into the Hall of Fame unless he wants to. And there's a couple of reasons for that. He's not the first one. He should have been the first one. He should have been the inaugural. The next thing that I will say is that there is a tradition in professional wrestling. The tradition is once you retire, people put you into Hall of Fames. And it looks a little lopsided when you're actually a wrestler um, on a roster and you're already in the Hall of Fame when you're actively wrestling. It kind of makes you look, so to some people it makes you look old. Some people it makes you look entitled, and sometimes it looks lopsided because that's usually done for retired wrestlers. So I can understand that tradition really. But I also think that the other problem that comes along, um, but this is more of a Vince McMahon thing, is that WWE and TNA have a really good relationship. They understand the history of AJ Styles in TNA wrestling. So at any point in time where if TNA and WWE don't work together, or if they're under a bad relationship, 100% that Triple H is going to allow AJ Styles to go into the WWE Hall. Is going to go. Triple H is going to allow AJ Styles to go into the WWE Hall of Fame and the TNA Hall of Fame. He's not going to be like, if you go into the TNA Hall of Fame, I'm taking away your Legends contract. You're fired and everything like that. He's not that petty. So I really, really don't think that they're that petty. Anytime that AJ Styles wants to go into the TNA Hall of Fame, it's going to be it's going to be, you know, it's going to be something where he's going to be allowed to do it. He's not going to be facing harassment or other shit from WWE, and I'm proud of them for doing that. You know, and that's respect to AJ Styles. If they don't do that, then fuck them. You know, but the other thing too is that the other thing that I'm very happy about is that when AJ Styles when he quit TNA wrestling, when they wanted to give him a 40% pay cut, I believe the conversation was 40% pay cut. You'll be the champion of AEW of TNA wrestling for over 365 days, and we'll put you in the TNA Hall of Fame. And he just left really because imagine if he made $100,000, it would go down to 60,000. Imagine if they said, okay, well 80,000. That's going to go down, 40%, so like down $32,000. So he'll be making around $48,000, something that I make if I didn't do overtime. But I make $100,000 a year because I do overtime. Bitches, you broke bitches. But the point of it is that I like what he said that to Austin, which is that, you know what, if you work hard and you do the right thing, you stay out of trouble, you need to make sure you're being paid accordingly. And Austin said, hell yeah. And, give me a hell yeah, all that stuff. I'll quit playing. But the thing about it is I respect AJ Styles for doing that because he would have been the phenomenal one. He would have been the phenomenal bitch if he actually stayed with TNA Wrestling, took that pay cut, the ratings and everything went down because they don't have the TV deal. And then he was ultimately holding up the company when he already built the company with other people. And they look at him as almost like, okay, you know what, you just stick with us because we fucked up and we need you to rebuild everything. It was good for him to get out of that. Especially since you're being paid less. I think with Hulk Hogan, WWE struggled a little bit during the early '80s. There were a lot of gambles that they took, but I think they made sure that Hulk Hogan was paid appropriately while he was helping build the company to higher heights. I think that once they were making so much money, they talked to Hogan and redid his contract and all that. They didn't do something like say, okay, you know what, we're struggling, we're taking big risks, we're taking big gambles, but we're not going to pay you accordingly. We're going to actually ask for you to pay for a pay cut. You don't do that, to people. So I'm very happy that he decided not to go into the TNA Hall of Fame during 2014 because that would have been a big fuck you to him. He was right for him to go to New Japan Pro Wrestling and get a bigger deal. It was right for him to talk to WWE and then, be like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go to New Japan Pro Wrestling for a while. I'm going to show what I can do. Stay there for the short term. And then I'm actually going to go over to, WWE. And then it was proven that, he actually can hang with them. And he was in big spots. Became the WWE, one of the 6 or 7 people that have been the WWE champion for over a year. He had the final match with The Undertaker. And ultimately, he's one of those enhancement talents. So if you face AJ Styles, you're being a former champion, really. So it makes any person who beats him, like LA Knight, look good. And then also, too, that more than likely he's down in the developmental, helping out other talents. So there's a role for AJ Styles. And if he goes into the WWE Hall of Fame, good. If he says, you know what, well, TNA screwed me over. I don't want to be in the TNA Hall of Fame. Then, fuck him. I don't need him. And that's a good philosophy. If Tony Khan calls him and wants to put him in the ROH Hall of Fame, and not the TNA Hall of Fame. Fuck him. I don't need him. We don't need. He doesn't need. He does not need TNA whatsoever. TNA needs him, but he doesn't need TNA. So I really appreciate AJ Styles because I think every single time he's always been asked about TNA wrestling and leaving the company. One thing that I respect about AJ Styles is that he doesn't bash the company. He does not pull a Jim Cornette. He has every right to do that. And I think a lot of people would love to see him shit on TNA wrestling, or maybe during his Hall of Fame speech, like flip over a table with like a bunch of confectionaries and destroy his poster and be like, fuck this company, fuck Dixie Carter's cunt and everything like that. And fuck Eric Bischoff. He could do all that shit, but he does not do that. And I'm very, very proud of him because there's a lot of people, including myself, including Jim Cornette famously, that would go the other route where they would use it as an opportunity to just attack people and ruin the event and make it about their drama and get a big pop from the crowd being like, yeah, all that stuff. AJ Styles does not do that. And I am motherfucking proud of AJ Styles for not doing that. Because that's petty motherfucking bullshit. He is such a mature person, and I respect AJ Styles for that. And I respect him for that. And one of the reasons why I loved AJ Styles so much was because he always represented to me of a person who worked hard, did the right thing, and he always got screwed. I love it. AJ Styles was one of my favorite wrestlers. He's one of my role models. I thought of suicide for a lot of years of my life, and one of the reasons why I did not commit suicide was because of AJ Styles, and it was because of Austin Aries. One of the reasons, those are one of the few people in this world that helped me not commit suicide back in 2011. I hope AJ Styles hears this. One of the reasons why I did not commit suicide in 2011 was because of Austin Aries and because of AJ Styles. And I'll say that on this camera, But I remember watching Destination X, that show where they had all those that was their best show they ever did during the Hogan era. Seeing Austin Aries become the champion, seeing Jack Evans, seeing AJ Styles and other people. I had a chain around my neck because I wanted to kill myself, and I took the chain off because, they inspired me. They made me feel like, there's underdog people. There's underdog people out there actually that could actually make it. Because during that time, I was dealing with workplace bullying. I had family that really encouraged me to respond to workplace bullying by tolerating it until I get a better job. And then I also had an ex-girlfriend, betray me and almost destroy my entire life, really. So, when I was thinking about suicide and I was going to kill myself after the Destination X pay-per-view, I took the chain off around my neck because of AJ Styles and because of Austin Aries. And I have no problem saying that, and Rob Van Dam. I have no problem saying this on this fucking camera. So AJ Styles means a lot to me, and just to see him get disrespected like that by not being in the TNA Hall of Fame first, it was a deep wound to me. Now it's also a deep wound to a lot of people. But importantly, I respect his maturity. That no matter when he got fucked over by a bunch of people, he always acted mature. He always acted mature. There's one clip of him using the word faggot early on in his career because he actually was doing a controversial gimmick. But then you have Goldust, and then you have Muhammad Ali, and then you have Triple H telling people to suck it, really. So not a good choice, but it doesn't mean that he should be canceled or whatever. Then why not? Why is Mike Tyson in the WWE Hall of Fame a convicted rapist? Why are the conversations about Dustin Rhodes being in the Hall of Fame? Why is Triple H a person that tells people to suck it in the Hall of Fame? Why are there wrestlers that have done angles where they objectified women in the Hall of Fame, really, like The Godfather? So if you have an issue with AJ Styles saying the word faggot, then there's hypocrisy there. Moolah and Superfly Jimmy Snuka are in the Hall of Fame, so it doesn't make sense to not put AJ Styles in any of the Hall of Fames because of that. I'm pointing that out. I'm going off on a tangent, but the point of it is, AJ Styles can go into the TNA Hall of Fame whenever he fucking feels like it. If I was running TNA Wrestling, once he goes in the Hall of Fame, I'm saying, you know what, AJ Styles, we're gonna make you a special inaugural first member, and we're actually changing your Hall of Fame. It's called the TNA Phenomenal One Hall of Fame. We're gonna call it the Phenomenal One Hall of Fame, or we're gonna call it the Phenomenal Hall of Fame in your honor, because You should have been in there first. You need to be recognized as the most synonymous wrestler to TNA to TNA. And one of the reasons why everybody is here is because obviously of his contributions. And he's also showed that through the hard times and the ups and downs of TNAs and the politics and everything like that, that ultimately TNA is a company for two reasons. I mean, it represents two reasons. It's a place for wrestlers to work, like Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy, who are poorly booked in other companies. Number one, it's also a place where there are wrestlers like AJ Styles that need to stay there until they actually could go over to another company. And it's also a place where there's wrestlers that want a long-term career in TNA wrestling and not really leave, like Kazarian or Eric Young, and seems to be the Hardy Boys, because they don't really, because as of right now, there's really no place for them other than TNA wrestling to get good booking, really. So he represents all those things. So 100%, whenever AJ Styles wants to go into the fucking TNA Hall of Fame, it will be a great day. I would honestly, legitimately, I would drop everything. I'll tell my job to suck it, because I'm going to watch AJ Styles go into the TNA Hall of Fame. And if I ever see AJ Styles in my life, I'm going to have a conversation with him. I'm going to tell him what he means to me, and all that stuff. He means the world to me. Definitely the day that he dies of old age or whatever, it's going to be one of the saddest days of my life. It'll be a happiness that it'll be almost like, there'll be a level of happiness I'll never have in this world the day that he dies, because, he means so much to me. I love AJ Styles. He was a role model to me. He was a role model to me. He represents a lot of people who worked their asses off, been through so much hell, and kept on going, really. And eventually, not a lot of people like that actually make it to the top, really, but he made it to the top of WWE. He's going to go down in history as the wrestler that had the last match with The Undertaker, one of the less than 10 wrestlers in history to hold the WWF Championship. And he's definitely the phenomenal one. And he definitely deserves to be in any Hall of Fame. AJ Styles, you deserve a lot, really, but you represent resilience and maturity. Stuff that if I realize those things early on in my life, if I master those things, I would be a phenomenal one just like you.